going on, everybody? Good to see everybody once again. We're back, episode 2 in our 3rd season of Just Talking Ball with the Texas Jayhawk. I'm your host, Texas Jayhawk. As always, I got my guy with me, Eric Foster. What's going on, man?
No, I've had better days.
Yeah, and for anyone or the people that watch us, regularly, they know what that means. Without if you're a football guy, obviously but if you're not a football guy, when you answer like that, you obviously know what that means. But it's good to see you again, man. It's blessed to be seen. I mean, it, it's it's football season, so you can't ask for a better time of the year. It's still nice and warm, and the Jayhawks are 2-0. I mean, come on, man. You got to take the bad with the good. I mean, we're all on different paths and different journeys. At least y'all are still ranked. But good to see everybody, man. We've got a great show. It is a full week. We're in full swing right now. At least personally, we both have games coming up, but me personally, my high school is playing our rival of 47 years. Ellison High School is playing Killeen High, so that's big. And then Kansas, Missouri, which we'll get into later, which is a big rival college-wise, and that's big. And then on Thursday, my Dallas Cowboys played the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, which is a rivalry, a division rivalry, if you will. So I don't know if we're going to do a show next week, depending on how this next couple of days go. So
How the next couple of days go.
I mean, Texas is playing E. You're excited about that. Tell me how you feel about this upcoming game before we really get into it.
What I'm excited about is an opportunity to get off the mat, right? I think anytime you're a competitor and you've got your team is a team full of competitors, you get excited for the challenge of how do you get off the mat. Can you hold the standard? Because when you go into a game like this week, it can't be the opponent. You can't be worried about the guy across from you. It has to be Texas versus Texas.
The old saying, it's not about them, it's about us.
Correct. And can there be a standard? And can you rise to that standard despite what happened last week, despite the person across from you? I think just to get the monkey off your back, right? I know part of the opening script is going to have to be a 15 plus pass yard play, right? Just to get the
and you roll into it.
Monkey off your back,
And before you get into it, we go because you got a whole segment for that. And like you say, it's and also I'll just add to what you were gonna say. You can't let Ohio State beat you twice. So let's go into the agenda for the day on the show. So we're gonna open up, man. We're gonna get into some Kansas versus Missouri, preview it and talk about some things I'd like to see. I know Eric doesn't really have a stock in this whole thing. We've got a special guest joining us in the show, MITCH Morse, who's a Missouri alum. I'm about to say Kansas alum, Missouri alum. So we're excited about that. We're going to recap the Texas-Ohio State game. We're going to talk about, or Eric's going to talk about a lot of things he didn't like. I'm really going to hit, as far as getting on the board, talking about some things they could have did better, some things they did do well. So, I want to jump into it. Arch didn't play that bad. I'm just going to say that. He didn't play that bad, but if you're a Texas fan, I guess he was the worst. And
he didn't play the worst, but we'll talk about it.
see, we're gonna keep that, but we're gonna get into some predictions and some games to watch. So, right now, before we go on and before anything happens, let's go ahead and let that rock. This got to be a two-way thing. This will be a partnership, a co-hosting show. Y'all played into this college football playoff semifinal last year. I had to hear Texas fight how much last year.
Make me root for Missouri, aren't you? I can just tell you're going to be miserable about this. So you're going to leave me with no choice.
I don't. You're right. I'm going to be fair. You're right, man. You're my guy. I ain't going to do you like that. So but that's the typical.
You know what? When you don't know how many times you're going to get to play it, I guess you should play it every chance you get.
Well, we'll ride on. We'll ride on. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to get into some film on Kansas, Missouri. We're going to look at the Kansas-Fresno State game and just, point out some key plays or some things I think is key to Kansas getting the victory from a long-awaited renewal of a rivalry. So let's check that out.
We're going to talk about a couple of things, actions, schemes, what we would like to say. I say we, but it's really more me. Eric's not a KU fan.
I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent.
Yeah. But I really think the first thing, in no particular order, I really think you got to minimize hits on JD6. That is paramount. We go as he goes. Quick hitters, quick game, get the ball out of his hands so he can avoid those shots. I think obviously running the ball, even though he has great feet, great legs, he doesn't always need to be the primary. We've got two solid backs, not only can run the ball, but catch out the backfield. No turnovers. And there are going to be times that JD's going to get loose. He's a scrambler naturally. He extends plays. So on top of that, that's why I say let's limit the called quarterback runs. Now, you have zone reads, speed options, things like that. Obviously, the reads to read. So those are some of the keys that I think that are important for the Kansas offense. So let's take a look at a couple of those examples right here. So coming out, this is actually the first play of the game, first play of the season, if you will. We got to come out in 2-by-2 set, pre-snap motion. Now the tight end settles. We're in a 3-by-1, okay? So right here is going to be a quick game, okay? So it's really a quick game, quick screen. It all falls under quick game. So he's got a two-way go. You got a little play action that's going to come up, you're going to see, but I think that's just for these guys right here, a little window dressing. You've got the hitch up here. He's looking at cushion. A lot of times when you're throwing the hitch, this guy, if it's already 7 yards plus, that's probably where you're going to go. Down here in the boundary, we've got a quick screen with a blocker. So this guy's got to take most dangerous, or MDM, as we would say in the football world. So let's look at it real quick and talk about it briefly. If you want to jump in on it, but right here, like I say, setting the tone. First play of the game, first play of the season. We want to gain confidence. We want to have a positive play. We want to win first downs. Quick stab. He liked what he had. Not only did the guy give him a 7+ yard cushion, but on the snap of the ball, he backpedaled. So that's a gimme right there. He backpedaled. Got a completion, got vertical, positive gain. We don't need to see the end zone for this. Let's go to the next play. So right now we're in a 2-by-2 cut, condense, whatever your terminology is, but we're in a tighter formation, but we're still in 2-by-2. Right here, we haven't talked about it much. Running back behind the quarterback, that is a pistol backfield set, pistol, okay? So
talk about the difference, because a lot of people don't understand the difference. Well, they understand the difference between a pistol and a shotgun, but what advantage does that give you on offense?
Okay, so that's a great question, and rolling with that. So multiple defensive coordinators have multiple rules. So a lot of times defenses will set their front to the passing strength, or to the field, or to the boundary. But when you're in a situation, when you're in a balanced set like this, 2 eligible receivers down here, 2 eligible receivers at the top, then they set it to the back. And so they'll set their strength to whatever side, left or right of the formation the back is on. Now, what Pistol did about 15, 17 years ago, and Oklahoma State's probably one of the first names you think of when you think about the pistol, was really real popular with that. So now it's hard to declare what the tendency is as far as if the running back's on the left, 70% of the time he's getting the ball and going to the right, vice versa, what have you. So the pistol kind of neutralizes those tendencies for the offense, and now defenses have to try to find another way to gain an advantage.
So the strength is in the dressing, the disguise.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. All right. So right now we've got a 2-by-2. We're gonna get some movement right here, and now we're gonna shift the strength, or everybody, to the boundary, if you will. Quads. Quad means 4. Obviously, it doesn't have to be a particular set. They're just saying that there are 4 eligible receivers to one side. Quads. Okay. Zone read with a lead blocker, if you will. Okay. So what's going to happen is we're going to read this end man on the line of scrimmage right here. We've got our tight end coming across, and he's going to bluff or influence this guy to make him think he's going to block him. but in essence, it's going to slow him down to help make the read easier for the quarterback. Now, Fresno State's going to bring some pressure here with the backer, but the pressure comes inside the outside man or the read. So we still get what we want. He squeezes, quarterback gets the pull with a lead blocker, and we get a big gain right here. Now, I did obviously, I'm going to say I'm being hypocritical because I just said I don't want to see a lot of quarterback runs, but early, hurting them, winning first downs, there's nothing wrong. But also now everything is on Jalen. Get down and protect yourself, okay? We've got to be smart in that sense of longevity and durability, and this is just the first quarter. Right here, you see it right here. Squeeze, dead in the water. Dead in the water. And actually, as we look at it a little more, Fresno State actually played themselves or called themselves out of the play. They have a stunt going on right here, and what happens? This guy Squeezer, he's twisting first, and then this tackle, this defensive lineman, is looping behind him. But right now, he's not fast enough. He's already out of the play. So sometimes you out scheme yourself, and he's trying to get there. He's already, huh?
I said too cute by half is what I like.
Exactly. And if I'm gonna get a little technical, a little too much, I love zone read. And a lot of times the rule is if the player or the defender or the read man is above the ball. So in this instance, we're talking about if he was out here above the ball, then you're gonna give it. But if he's underneath the ball, then you're pulling it and you're going. And this guy was already, just like I say, dead in the water because he's coming on a stunt, and he's typically a slower guy, so he's already gone. He's wasted. Now he does a hell of a job hustling, still doesn't make the play. That's what I talked about earlier. Now utilizing two backs, okay. So now we're in a, if you will, not necessarily unbalanced, but our tight end is covered up. Okay, so if you know football or if you know certain tendencies, you know things of like ineligible receiver or covered, so this guy, basically what I'm saying, he's ineligible to go for a pass. Okay, so right now that's telling me that he's gonna be probably involved in blocking and just staying behind the line of scrimmage. But like I say, we got two backs here, so we're in 21 personnel. We haven't talked a lot about that. 21 personnel, two meaning two running backs, one meaning tight end. And so we're in two backs here. We're going to get, they've run a lot of zone thus far, zone option. Even if it's not in this game, Kansas is known for running a lot of triple option. Fake to the running back, pull it. Quarterback's got a running back behind them, and they're running speed option out the back door. So right now, this look gives that feel or that tendency, if you will. But what we're going to do is we're going to play fake to the running back, and we're going to have him, number 7, Cam Pickett, who's a receiver, actually come across like he's going to block the backside, but it goes out for a pass. See, zone influence, backside running back avoids. We've actually got pressure coming too. I gotta say it. When I get into this film, I just start seeing things. So right here, if I am on offense and I see this guy lined up here, and I see this safety stacked on top of this defender, 9 times out of 10, he's coming. Okay, so that's just something to think about or look for when you're watching the games, not just this one. Got it. Got blockers in front, 2 for 2. They blitzed themselves out of the play again. First play earlier, they stunted themselves out of the play. Now they blitzed themselves out of a play. And Cam Pickett does a great job, run after catch, touchdown. But it's fast, it's quick, it's right now. It's zone, things like zone. It's, quick hitters, it's backside influences. We saw a play earlier where the tight end came across and influenced and bluffed like he was going to block the end man, but goes and blocks the second level guy.
And I think it's important, right? When I'm glad you talked about the blitz look, because when you talk about why are these older players in this NIL world, why are they so coveted? Why are they so valued? He's seen it all. He's done it all. So these reads, David just talked about 5 different reads this kid has to make in 3 seconds, right? So and you only talked about half of them, right?
Yeah.
So a kid has to make 10 plus reads in 10 seconds. So the value of Jaden Daniels being a 6-year guy is invaluable, and we'll talk about here in a second when you got a first-year guy on the road, why some of these things you miss.
100%. 100%. Here we go. So now, let's see what we have here. I have a feeling I've watched this film. These are some of the things that we don't want to happen. Got great escape ability, but right now we're playing sandlot football. We're taking hits. We're taking hits on the ankle area, getting dragged down by a throwing. That's what we can't have happen. And that's not necessarily a knock against the O-line. Quarterback's got to be smart too. And when you're an athletic quarterback and you've made people miss all your life, it's kind of tough to surrender.
Your feet have gotten you out of trouble so many times. Why not?
Exactly. When it's worked so many times, I laugh. The Hard Knock, or there's a Hard Knock, or there's a documentary about this old school quarterback coach. 1, 2, 3, throw the mother, and that's what he says. I don't care what you do. 1, 2, 3, throw the mother, So obviously this is the college game, and JD6 has done this his whole life, but we can't have this happen. You pre-snap right here. This defense is in a blitz posture. You got 7 guys on the line, so if not 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. Did I? 7 guys on the line. We've got 7 for 7, but that's just me assuming, or we got 6 actually, or 7 with the back. But that's me assuming that he's not in the route, or the running back's not in the route. Okay. They both stay in. We just get beat. So eye in the sky never lies. We just get beat, but we can't have that happen to our quarterback. This is a better look from the end zone. So,
James, how would you say Kansas handled the blitz? Is this something you expect a lot on Saturday? Or,
I do.
What are the numbers?
I expect a lot. I expect a lot of pressure. Great question. I expect a lot of pressure Saturday. One, you want to hit him often and early. You want to get in his head. You want to make him antsy. You want him to rush reads. Okay. You want to get in these guys' head and let them know, hey, you can't block us. We're going to out physical you. Now, you hold up and weather the storm, it's a different ball game. They did a great job of confusing our offense in this particular play. But JD sees that. We're covered. We're getting thrown out the club out here. We're covered there. There's nobody. We can't have that happen. Okay. Now, quick game. What did I say Kansas loves to do? We love to run the triple option. Fake the zone down here. Backdoor option play. Reading this guy. But now what we're going to do, what we're going to see is we're going to fake the zone and we're going to rail out the back door, and we're going to influence option and go option pass and throw back to the running back. He almost gets caught up. But he does a hell of a job trying to. And JD, I don't think a lot of quarterbacks could buy that extra second right here just to kind of, get a little deeper, make a throw, get it in playmaker's hand.
All right, so I think if we get those things done, play clean, especially like I said, no turnovers. We're in the game in fourth quarter. I think we have a chance, and we're a good team, but that's still yet to be proven. That's just my biased opinion right now. What do you think about that, E?
No, I think you're spot on. I think if you get to the fourth quarter and you'll have arguably, the best player on the field in JD, I think you've always got a chance. I think the one thing that, will become pretty apparent from the outset of the game, and we'll know pretty much by the end of the first quarter, definitely by the end of the first half, is you've got to match the physicality. Now, is Missouri the traditional Maul U SEC team? No, right? But can they get around you? Do they have some speed on the edge? Do they have some ways to attack you and kind of bring the physical fight to Kansas? Yes, I think that's where they would imagine they have an edge. So I would expect they'll try to do that. And if Kansas can hold their own, on both lines of scrimmage, I think we got ourselves a fun game.
And we both know this, but I'm going to say it out loud. A lot of times when it's those rivalry games, a lot of that stuff doesn't matter because, right now Missouri is a 6.5-point favorite. They're playing at home. They've done well in the SEC, which is arguably the best conference right now, and so, I mean, they've had success and they've seen some, tough road games, tough home games. It doesn't matter really in the SEC. So, but I like to think that these guys, this group of players, on both sides, get to embrace and embody what that rivalry, that border war feels like. So a lot of that stuff is out the window, but still, I mean, you're a little more seasoned in point spread and what people analysis and predictions. I mean, 6.5, that's still one possession. So I mean, it's not like it wasn't like they won 61-6 over UCA. Last two opponents Kansas they've scored almost 60 to 70 points and only given up 14 or 13. So, those are lopsided. Those are lopsided stats. And right now, I think this is definitely, obviously, Kansas's first real test, as far as where we're at as a football
team.
And
that could play into the spread. So just for the uninitiated degenerates, right? Games are kind of two ways. One, either your plus points, right, which means Vegas expects you to lose by X number of points. A pick 'em, right, means they have no clue. It could be either or. When you start talking about the favored team, if the range is 0 to 3, that means I kind of think, that team's going to win. If it's a touchdown plus, that means I feel pretty good that team's going to win. If it's 10 plus, Vegas is pretty much telling you, walking away, that's the favor. So right now, with the line being 6.5, they're like, hey, we kind of feel like, Missouri may be the better team. Missouri's going to win, but nowhere near, a high degree of confidence.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, that makes me feel good. If I can pull something positive out of that, I will.
There you go.
All right. Now, coming up, man, we've got a special guest joining us. This guy will probably disagree with everything that I just said and give his side of it from the Mizzou point of view. Got Mitch Morse in the building. All right, man. We have a special segment coming up right now, as we've already talked about. It's Kansas Missouri week, and it's a big time rival that's finally renewed. Ever since Missouri left the Big 12 and went to the SEC, that rivalry ended. But I have a very special guest, man, and this guy is a 10-year NFL vet, Pro Bowler, man, and he is a former, but always, I guess, Missouri Tiger. But I have Mitch Morse in the building with us today, man. How you doing, man?
Dude. Hey, I'm super juiced. He had me on. Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, Selena got us in contact, and I mean, talking about Kansas, Missouri, like you said, dude, like it's a little bit weird that you kind of subtly put the blame on Missouri for this ending. It's the truth. We dipped out, but it's awesome. It's great for college football. It's been since 2011, and now actually like sharing home sites rather than as great as Arrowhead is, right? Like that's a great place to do it, but to have that for the fan bases, like next year it'll be in Lawrence, especially with that whole new stadium, right? That they're really putting some cheese into.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's great for football, dude. It's awesome.
And that's what it is, man. And that's the whole thing. And I'm kind of a traditionalist in the fact that the way I came in, I wanted to stay that way, even though Kansas wasn't even in the Big 12 when I was younger. So like I bet some Big 8 guys were like, what's this Big 12 stuff? So I like say
that dates you a bit. Agree. That dates you just a little bit.
Just a little bit. I know I'm not going to tell them how old you are. Like, golly, this guy's. I know exactly where I was.
I feel old as hell.
Well, but our bodies and our actual age is always the discrepancy, man.
Without a doubt.
But man, glad to have you. I appreciate it, man. So let's just get right into it. First, I want to definitely plug you and say, you starting off a podcast. That's kind of your post. One of the many things you're doing in retirement. Briefly, man, just tell us about this podcast you got going on.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. It's called Monday Mornings with Mitch. It started as just like post games on Mondays after Sunday games. We had a lot of time to kill in Buffalo, and we'd found this couch in the equipment room where we would just talk shop, chew the fat, have like these really candid, awesome conversations, like busting out laughing, right? And it turned into such a thing that the equipment staff like made shirts that said Monday Mornings with Mitch. It kind of got a life of its own. And we were talking off air. I did not know I had an ego until a few months ago, and it is substantial. So I thought, it's the only thing that I have right now, really. But also, I love chatting with folks, right? Like it's what fills my cup up. My hobby, when they ask me, "What's your hobby?" It's the company I keep. I love chewing the fat, and so this just gives me an opportunity to do that. Meet some other people. Of course, Buffalo is where I spent most of my time, but we're really trying to push around the league. Like we got a few folks in Kansas City. We got a guy in 49ers coming out. Like it's really great. But that's a long-winded way of saying we're just trying to not make my wife throw me out the window or the house for that matter. I'm really loving it. I know you are too. It's just
it's fun, man. And like say, through the support and kind of that push through people, once you decide to do it, then like say you realize like, man, this is fun, and you get get to talk to people, man, and like even the way we met, and now almost within about 10 months later, here we are, and and so. But tomorrow premiere episode tomorrow.
It premiered. So we're filming this on a Monday. It premiered this morning. So if you wanted to give it a look, so it's
definitely.
So Josh Allen gave me a real charity case, and so he was my quarterback.
Like you're doing for me.
No. You have more merit than me in this realm. But he is. So he really carried the episode, made us look a lot better than we were, and we owe him a lot. So it's fun, man. We'll see where it goes. People could fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I don't know if I can cuss on this, but they could
do whatever you want. We're all good.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. So they could hate it, and I could be out of it, which is fine. Totally fine.
Yeah.
But we'll give it a run while we can.
That sounds good, man. Well, I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna check that out after this, man. So y'all go check out Monday Mornings with Mitch, man, podcast, and it's easy to find. I've seen it on his Instagram. You'll be able to find it. So your main streaming platforms are what?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think this it kind of alludes to the unseen things when you're getting into this, right? But no, we were fortunate enough to be on YouTube, Spotify, then the Instagram, TikTok stuff is kind of. I'm learning that as well. You kind of got to whore yourself out a little bit, which isn't the most fun in that regards, right? Yeah. But I mean, you step into this realm, you kind of got to play it out, and people have been very
open yourself up. Yeah,
totally. People have been very receptive, and it's been very humbling.
That's what's up, man. Well, let's get right into it. Hopefully this is one of many, meets we'll have, and we'll get into the NFL stuff. But you and I, our bond, our connection, we're Texas boys. And we both went to rival schools. So
that's true.
You got this question, and I know you got it a million times because I did too. So being a Texas kid, what made you go to Missouri? And I saw when I saw how every time they talk about you going to Missouri, the first thing they say, chose Missouri over Kansas.
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. It's really funny you say that because a lot of folks don't understand the connection between the two, and it's still kind of hard to explain, but I got recruited early by Missouri. They were my first offer. I couldn't believe anyone was, because you've been to St. Michael's, right? Like it's a little school, man, and just for anyone to think I was the pretty girl at the dance was kind of cool, right? So and then I got up there and I was blown away. I just really enjoyed it, and it was match made in heaven. I didn't really have this long out recruiting. I couldn't believe they offered. 2 days later, I took it.
Wow.
And and then after that, it kind of became more folks were interested, but it wasn't really my cup of tea to kind of dance around something. If you put your word to it, you just kind of go for it. But I'm also here to tell you that I have ties with Kansas University. My brother-in-law is the head academic coordinator for the football team at Kansas University. And he was actually my teammate at Mizzou. So he's getting a lot of shit for this too. So, but no,
tough week,
tough week, super tough week. But it's hard to explain. There was no crazy story. And then when I got there, I'm sure just like you in Kansas, like it was meant to be, right? I would do it all over again. And, coming from Texas, you really don't understand the Kansas, Missouri thing, man, at all until you're there. And it's still kind of tough. Because I missed it. I only was there for 2 years during that rivalry. Mm-hmm. And the only snaps I got were on field goal.
Okay.
So, but I mean, the hatred was real, and I mean, seeing it's really fun to see both teams respectively, like their alumni, trying to kind of hype them up and get this thing cooking.
Oh man, and you're so right about that, because us, like say, when you go up there, you're kind of just baptized into this. Okay, now you got to hate this school, and I'm like, we grew up watching Texas A&M hate each other, all that, but now it's like. And y'all probably have y'all traditions that I love to hear about. But we had our old school coaches, a guy named Don Fambro, will come give this speech the night before, and he would make you have you chewing nails and I'm like, I hate these guys. Like, it's just automatically, it's like, didn't have any history with Missouri or nothing, and like, oh, I'm ready to go to war. And, it's funny, man. So I imagine that was the same, with you,
totally.
Whatever they did with y'all to get y'all hyped up on these weak Jayhawkers or whatever they said.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is what Coach Don
Fambro,
dude, I still watch his YouTube videos. I mean, dude, I'm sure they're still played today. He is electric when it comes to that rivalry.
Oh my God.
And then I know Missouri brought in a history teacher to talk about all the way back in roots, and I'm like, I don't know if Missouri wants to be the one bringing this one up, dude. Like, we were definitely not in the right on this one. We were not, super duper not great.
That's why you're my favorite Missouri Tiger.
but we're like, yeah, of course. Of course, I mean, like, I don't want to. It's bad juju all the way around. But still,
no doubt.
But it's interesting to see how, of course, hatred takes different shapes, and that's a word that's thrown around. It's not really hate.
Exactly.
For some people, I mean, there really is some hate, and that part I don't totally understand. But when whatever builds a rivalry, whatever makes that like palpable, I'm all for. As long as it doesn't cross the line where it's getting like disgusting.
Exactly.
It makes it fun. It makes it what college football's all about.
It adds to the juice. I mean, if it's always like, if you need to be here if you're playing anyway, but when you're playing your rival, it needs to be through the roof, man. And
without a doubt.
And I say, like we said earlier, I'm a little older, so the rivalry was intact, and played in Columbia twice and Lawrence twice, and one particular, my sophomore year, we bust up there, and when we came through that, like the corridor through the tunnel, I don't know how they let fans in there. Eggs, oranges, apples. I mean, just hitting the.
That's that line. That's that line. We're teetering on that line. That's a weird one.
I'm like, I knew they weren't gonna hit us. But I'm like, okay, this is what they were talking about. Because my first year, it was in Lawrence, so I was kind of like, okay, it's a rival. I was more like, how much am I gonna get to play? My freshman year, and so, but that second year, it really, I really saw, and I mean, that was around the time when, you heard those names: Corby Jones, Brock Olivo, Devin West, Barry Odom, and that ages me because those are the guys that I played against. And,
that actually does. Remarkably, you get some Benjamin Button juice in one of those cups there, pal. You look great. Yeah,
I appreciate it, man.
Brock Olivo's great.
Yeah,
he's a good friend too. But
that's what I'm hard runner, man. Hard nose runner. I'm like that dude, man. But yeah, so as you adopted it, is there, you said, you only had field goal snaps and this and that, but as far as like your experience, like being up there in Columbia, and just like say people don't know, because I know personally when I went up there to Lawrence, and I was kind of like, that was like my first trip to the Midwest. I mean, I'm a military brat. I lived in Germany, but I mean, most of my life is in Texas, and so it was like, okay, Midwest is not bad. They've got, all the seasons, and it gets hot. I mean, it gets hot, and
it's hot as hell now.
We go up there, and how close that line is, and I know it's about 2 hours from Kansas City Mo to Columbia, but just how was that experience? Did it take much to really adapt, or did you just kind of plug in and say, okay, it's football anywhere? I mean, it's just
No, I think you can attest to this. It's a baptism by fire, dude. And any jump you make in any sport, I mean, as far as campus goes and the coaching staff and the university, I felt like I struck gold. Like I felt like I could not have been luckier where we were. Nothing about it I would change. And I really enjoyed the experience. Of course, I had to go through a little bit of a maturation process physically, especially at an offensive line. Coming from that St. Mike's, which was a pretty small school, just to physically hold up against the Big 12 at the time, and then we eventually made that move to SEC. But I think the hardest part for Columbia was that, especially from Texas, it was not the easiest to get to. At least like Lawrence is still a little bit of a drive from KCI or MCI rather, which I don't know if you've been there recently. It's the new airport. I've
heard they've upgraded.
It's beautiful,
man.
And how much money you have to. It's such an easy jaunt. Nice. I mean, and that's about an hour drive to Lawrence, right? But if you fly into Kansas City, especially Kansas City, that's another 2 hours to Columbia. And then the drive from Austin to to Columbia, you couldn't like cut through because you had to go straight to Kansas City and then cut directly
Oh,
east over. So it was every bit of like a 13-hour drive.
Yes, yeah, because it's 10. It was 10 from my home to Lauren, but it's a straight, like say, it's a straight shot. It's 35
north
all the way, and I
35.
mean, you get that kind of that boring Oklahoma red clay, and then it's like the rolling hills, and it's a
and
city.
You hit the Kansas Turnpike, dude. You hit the Kansas Turnpike, and you're just
you roll, yeah.
The Kansas Turnpike, for all, I mean, it's boring, but it's stunning. I mean, I really enjoy it. And you realize, not to get weirdly off topic, but like when they made those pushes from the cattle from Texas, and then you'd realize why they stopped them in the plains of Kansas to beef them up again. It truly is just like, this would be the perfect grazing town.
It is.
And so with its simplicity is gorgeous. I don't know. When was the last time you were in Lawrence though?
About 10 years ago.
You really should give it a go, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it's always during football season and been busy, and now, jumped into this podcast, but I definitely want to, get back there. I still talk to, guys, a lot of guys there from teams I was on to later on, but I mean, especially now with the stadium. I mean, it's almost a must. It's almost a must,
That's going to be something fierce.
Yeah,
and
man,
their facilities. I mean, of course, it's just kind of the way it's going, but with my brother-in-law being well immersed there, he's giving me the whole rundown. It's quite the spectacle. And, I think Coach Leipold, I kind of know him a little bit because he was in Buffalo when I was in Buffalo. He was, and then we knew they were doing well. And then when they made the move over, brought a lot of Buffalo guys onto the team, and with the transfer portal, kind of just doing that. But it's cool. I really enjoyed the heck out of it.
Wow. Well, and you talk, man, it's so exciting. I could talk that all day, man. But like you mentioned earlier, about playing in the Big 12 and then making that jump to the SEC. Tell me, how exciting was it? Nerves? I mean, if you're a competitor, it's always exciting, but you're kind of leaving what and going into this, uncharted territory of these names that and we all know how everybody says the SEC is the best, and and at the time, and that's kind of the fighter in me, because when I was in the Big 12. My freshman year, Nebraska had won the national championship, and then Oklahoma won it my senior year. So it's like when I was there, the Big 12 ran everything, and K-State was good.
Tom Osborne in Nebraska, all those guys.
K-State and A&M were rolling. So it was like, okay, and then the emergence of Texas was kind of coming on when Coach Brown, came in. So I mean, but now totally the SEC is where. But so, can you tell me, like, just was there a big difference? We think like competition wise, or just that? The aura of just the SEC.
Sure. That's a great question, and it's one of those ones that kind of shocks people, because I felt like the Big 12 was extremely competitive, even when we left. Right? I felt like the speed of the Big 12 was pretty impressive. I always thought it was just, man, that was just such a fast league. And then you go to the SEC and it's like, oh God, these guys are just as fast, but they're humongous, folks. But I don't think it was as stark of a contrast as tend to believe. I think maybe just the influx of guys that they're able to bring in at that level, and just at that like where they are developed as football players. And then, I mean, you have a place like Nebraska, which is great to play at, and there's plenty of places. I thought Texas Tech was kind of a sneaky cool place to play football.
Tortillas getting thrown at you.
Tortillas, one that I know we both can't stand, but what was interesting was K-State wasn't a bad place to play football.
It was. If you didn't break your neck walking out the locker room.
Yep. Yeah. That's true. But there is something in the sauce when you walk into a place like Death Valley, or you walk into a place like the Swamp, or all these places, Oxford, Mississippi, all these folks. It was, 2012 when we first got there, it was a rough go. Like, we hit the injury bug and we just weren't quite ready. We weren't competitively mature enough as a team that you have to be to make these pushes. And of course, you can attest this. We all have competitors, and like, we're all competitors, but you have to get that competitive stamina and that competitive maturity, which just kind of takes time, which we kind of got. And we really struck, proverbial gold those last 2 years. We were able to make the SEC championship game twice.
Exactly.
Smoked in both of them, but it was fun.
But y'all were there. I mean, being the newborn, if you will, of the SEC, and then to make it to the conference championship. I remember sitting in my house like, ugh, but they're there, and it's like, okay, they made the right call. That was right. Cause I was like, or they're gonna get tore up, and they're gonna regret leaving the Big 12.
we have a common enemy in this whole thing. Hold on one second.
Yep.
The reason why Missouri and Texas A&M left the Big 12 was because of Texas. They had the Longhorn Network, and they were bullying, and we're going to do revenue sharing, which is fine, it's whatever. But they left, and then 10 years later, decade later, who sneaks into the SEC? But Texas, and I mean, it was kind of fun to see them get smoked the other night. But I mean, they're good. They're good again. Call spade a spade. They're very good.
No doubt, and have the resources to always be good. I mean, I mean, you grew up around it, just seeing it. I mean, even though they had, and I say off years, 8 wins, 9 wins, but I mean, they're, and it's funny, and it's I kind of get off topic, but it's so fickle. We're talking about Austin and Texas and how they kind of stick and move with the big players, but like even how they turn on you, and that is a common trend. But I mean, to see it face to face, the first year of Coach Sarkisian, I went to the Kansas-Texas game, and Kansas beats them in double overtime.
That was a great game. Yeah, that was a great game. Listen. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Yeah, that day. That was remarkable stuff.
But you've got people in the stand. Oh, fire him! He can't do this. And I'm kind of like, is it you don't want to give this guy a chance? It's his first year, or because it was Kansas? Even though Kansas has a history of like kind of messing with Texas.
And Texas messing with Texas. I mean, the other a few years maybe prior to that at
Coach Strong, I think Charlie Strong.
Charlie Strong. They got him fired.
And so and not we're not aiming to do that, but it's funny how you have those little rivals within themselves that okay, this team is always a thorn in our side, no matter how bad or how good they are, man. So. That's funny, man. So I'm not gonna hold you, but I gotta get it. What's your prediction for Saturday? Where will you be? How do you feel about it?
Well, so I was supposed to be at the game, and I was supposed to be able to bang the big drum. They were gonna really treat the kid well. Yeah. But the Chiefs asked me to come down to Brazil for their home open or their season opener in Brazil. So I'm gonna go down there. I think it's going to be a lot closer game than Missouri folks think it's going to be. I just seeing how Coach Leipold does this thing. You add that kind of that variable, which is that rivalry. I think what you're going to see early is you're going to see mistakes by both sides. Kind of driven by passion. You're going to have these amplified things, and I think you're going to really settle into a later, the later part of the game. Now that being said, I do think Missouri is going to squeak it out. But I'd be very surprised if it's more than a 1-score game. Either way, even if Missouri loses, I just don't see it happening, and I don't think it'd be good for football if it is one way or the other. Yeah, I think it's going to be a slugfest. I think it's going to be chippy. I think it's going to be everything you want, and I really would. I don't see how you can not have College Game Day come, especially with a Kansas team that's kind of really coming in the last few years. Missouri, who's coming off of 3 10-win seasons,
and it's renewed.
Renewed. Like it's just perfect for college football. And so, I will be in Brazil. No, I'll be in Brazil, but my ear will be to the grindstone because regardless of how it goes, man, this is just good for both teams. It's good for football.
I'm glad it's back, and I'm glad it's back. And it's so funny. And on the other internet, I'm kind of a pessimist, nervousness, but want to win. But it's like I want to have all these guys in place, and the little rumor from last year when Kansas supposed to have the better team, or 2 years ago, and Missouri opted out of a bowl game, and it was like, it would have been against Kansas, and it's here we go. And the head coach, the head coach made a comment about, we don't need to stoop to this level, and I'm like, that's the team we needed to play. We're kind of rebuilding, but I mean, we've got some players and we've got a quarterback, and if he can stay healthy and not take a lot of big shots, I think we'll have a chance. And I think if it's close in the end, then who knows? And if we can shore up on tackling on the defensive side, and just stick with you guys. And I don't know, I didn't get a chance to watch the first game Missouri played, but I mean, it's early in the year. Everybody has slow starts, it seemed like, as far as like just, and that takes time, as well as I do, is, so it's continuity and just gelling and just kind of feeling it, out there.
Without a doubt.
I hope, I definitely hope we're on the the positive side of that and not turning the ball over like we have a chronic illness to do at times. So but
y'all's quarterback is like you alluded to, I think is a real sneaky candidate for one of the better quarterbacks in the league. And yeah, I mean, turnovers just regardless in that first, the first
Yeah.
few games of the season, you're going to see that sloppy play. Watch the Missouri game last week. It started out a little slow on both ends, but of course took off. The score kind of showed a little bit different of what I was saying. Like it was a really Central Arkansas, or I think we played Central Arkansas, right?
Yep.
Played a really good game. I mean, 60 was, I don't know, whatever it was to 6, but that's not what it truly was in my opinion. But I think the big one's that's going to be kind of the deciding factor is the KU defense versus the Missouri offense. I don't know why. That's what I just feel like is the big one. Like our quarterback we lost our backup. There was going to be like a little bit of a battle, and he took a shot, a really nasty one when they brought him in for a wildcat. It was the first play of his season.
Wow.
Took it and was out for an extended period of time. But the guy we brought in from, I think, Penn State, I don't want to misspeak there, but it's going to be a good game regardless. And the job of us podcasters is to sit here, just talk about bullshit that we don't know about, but regardless, it'll be extremely, I think, emotionally charged, and the anticipation level will be an all-time high.
But I think we have a little more, expertise and a little more stake in talking about these two teams,
Sure.
just
absolutely,
man. But
whatever we have to tell ourselves, right? Like,
there goes the ego. Yeah, that's that ego.
Without a doubt, dude. Yeah,
and it's funny, man. But so you're 2-0 as a player there against KU the 2 years before y'all went to the SEC. We were 3-1 against
you
awesome. Guys, and I like to say a lot of people look at me kind of like, oh, really?
KU
used
to be some dogs, dude. I mean, like before I got there, they were just coming off that Todd Reesing 07, 08
Orange Bowl,
Orange Bowl, exactly.
And it's and then we hit some rough bumps, and I mean, when it rained, it poured. I mean, it wasn't just a 4 or 5. It was longest road Big 12 losing streak, and then we had Coach Guild, and we had Coach Weiss, and then we had Coach Miles, and it was just it didn't, but I mean, thank God for Coach Leipold, and our AD has done a hell of a job. We actually went to school at the same time, and Travis, and
nice.
just so man, things are looking up, man. I'm so glad you took the time to talk to me about this, man. Kind of went down memory lane a little bit, and kind of, I'm so glad it's back, man. But I appreciate you, taking the time. Safe travels, brother, on your way to Brazil, man.
I appreciate you
to support the kingdom. You know how that is.
Yeah. Well, here, can you do me a favor? Can you finish this off for me? MIZ. You're gonna say, if you're gonna say rock chalk,
I was about to say,
good.
I'm gonna say MIZKU.
Well, so if people don't know, I do have some Missouri, I don't want to say paraphernalia because that's, but it's Missouri attire.
Yeah,
I mean your backdrop's Banana Land, Kansas.
I mean, it's just a little corner of my office where I like to keep the the memory stored up, man. But no,
well, maybe in the future, maybe next year we can go to this KUMU game. I would venture over to Lawrence, even if you won't venture up to Columbia.
I will.
I'll be the bigger man here and go to Columbia.
Let's set it up.
Or go to Lawrence.
Yeah, I'll be safer because my last 2 experiences there, the first time we played, we got oranges and stuff thrown at us, and then my senior year, I was getting heckled, being called Webster. Was I old enough to drive? And the student section was tearing me up. Thank God we won that year.
Yeah. Well,
it's great.
Those are Missouri. It's good people.
Love it. Hey, but
I mean,
it, man.
Yeah, it'll be good. It's awesome. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm so excited. I can't wait to chat. We're in a group message, and now this Saturday is going to be a buzzing.
I'll definitely be hitting you up.
Right,
I don't want to hear. Oh, I couldn't get reception over in Brazil.
Yeah, well, I would talk to your provider just in case you do some texts out of the country, just so you don't get in any trouble. All right.
Yeah, true that. But I appreciate you, man.
You bet, buddy.
Safe travels. Tell the family I said hello, man.
Tell Selena, no shot. ZOU, pal. Tell Selena I said hello. All right. For anyone who doesn't know, Selena was at my high school, and by far when I was there.
Give the background.
I alluded to it when they did the very nice Hall of Fame stuff, but it was just the truth. Like the gold standard is what you want to say was Selena Scott. I mean, anyone you talk to, Coach Cook, any of those dudes, right? Like she's plastered all over the place, and she should be. She was a dog, and then to actually meet her in person and see that she was even cooler of a person, than she was as good of a player, which was remarkable. She was a remarkably good player. Was a real treat. So I to be in the same vein, you want to call it, as Selene Scott is one of the cooler things that
I'll definitely let her know, man. Yeah, she was a baller, man. Like I say, you just never know how life is gonna, end up. Two Texas kids, and we meet up in Kansas, and it kind of went from there, man.
Hey, listen, thank you so much for having me on, pal.
Yes,
if you ever
man.
need anything, or if I ever need anything, I know how to find you. Please, you know how to find me.
Thank you so much. All right, man. Take care, Mitch.
All right, see you, pal.
All right, yes, sir. All right. Great conversation. Great time with that guy, man. Nicest guy in the world. We mentioned earlier, how we met and kind of how this relationship is being built. He's a baller, man. And at one time, the highest paid center in the NFL, and like I say, played for Kansas City, played for Buffalo, and ended his career at Jacksonville. And now, at 30, I think he's 33 or 35. He's retired and doing his thing. So, man, much respect. We appreciate him coming on, man. That was huge. That was big. All right. Now it's time to get back in to some SEC, Austin, Texas, burnt orange football. All right, Texas, Ohio State. Tell me what you thought.
I'll talk about what surprised me. Normally, I'm stumbling because I don't know.
You got so much you want to come out.
I don't know the right way. PC is generally not my thing. So to avoid profanity, I'm finding it. But no, I think what we rarely come away with from a game plan, it's been years, probably not last year, but prior to that, the last time Texas traveled to Arkansas, it's probably the last time, or 2 years, last time Texas went to Oklahoma State. Those were probably two of the only other games that stuck in my head when the game was over, questioning the game plan, right? Mind you, we've lost since then, and I think you come away from those games feeling like the game plan was sound. Either Texas just didn't execute, or the other team made more plays, a la Washington 2 years ago. But never really questioned the game plan. And I think I came away from this game with quite a few questions just about the game plan, because we talked about things that Texas would be successful with, quick gaming them to death, getting motion in the backfield, doing all those things. We didn't see those things until the second half and kind of well into the fourth quarter.
Great point. We're going to talk more about that. But
and we'll talk about that, right? And, coincidentally, that's when Arch got a little more comfortable. That's when we started to move the ball. That's when we put points on the board. So, with being fair and due deference, because we don't have anyone from the Texas staff here to, kind of talk about their point of view. And out of that question wasn't really asked post-game around why were some of the things you featured in the second half and in the fourth quarter not a part of, right? Because we didn't see our first orbit motion, which is something Texas specialized in last year. We didn't see the first one of those until the fourth quarter, right? So I think you just kind of come away with questions about what was the film telling them, and where did they go? Because mind you, they probably, I would imagine it was a little bit of, and they said, I did talk to one coach and he kind of mentioned this, probably was a little paralysis by analysis, because they went through and looked through so much film of what Matt Patricia had done. Yeah. So much,
and it was some unknown there, and it was some unknowns there, and that's tough. And I mean, we talked about it earlier, leading up to it. There were just so many variables that were against Texas. Arch had 2 starts, but you're the guy. It's hands down. It's not like come in as a gimmick or a package. You're the guy. Now you're going into a hostile good Ohio State team. And it's just those type of things, man. Like I say, 4 new old linemen too. So those are things, man, that just people don't see. And you made another good point. If people really watch ball, like we do, and we watch from 2 different eyes, but we definitely sync up. We talk about game plan could be an issue. A lot of times in coaching, it's execution, or it could be you did too much, or you try to do too much, and it looks crappy, or or like you say, it's other variables, but like execution. And sometimes when players don't execute, then the game plan is not realized, and so you don't get to see what the coaching staff broke down all week and saw that was a weakness or could have been an advantage. And a lot of times that's tough.
By the way, I don't want this to escape me. A lot of credit belongs to the Ohio State staff and to their players, because they executed. They came out with some moxie. They came out with a chip on their shoulder, which sounds weird for a defending national champion. And I think seeing kind of how Michigan came into last year, coming off of a national championship, they kind of said, that's not going to be us.
Yeah, way better showing.
We're not way better showing. They said, we're not going to cede any ground here. We had the number one defense in the country last year. We expect to be that again this year. As the numbers came out, and just about every statistic that you look at that determines the outcome of a game, usually Texas was on top.
Here you go.
Texas controlled the line of scrimmage.
Rushing 166 to 77, passing 170 to 126, total yards 336 to 203. Third down, 36% against 25%, which is both is still not great. I mean, 5 of 14 for Texas, 3 of 12 for Ohio State. Fourth down, though, 1 of 5 for Texas, and one for 2 with Ohio State, which 20%, 50%, but the one discrepancy is the one turnover,
right?
One score game.
In hindsight, you look at this is one of those games. You take the points.
Yes, exactly. And like I say, 2 good teams, margin of error so small, 1 turnover, 7 points. So let's dig a little deeper into it, and let's go to some film.
All right, now we're here at 3x1, first play of the season, kicking off Kansas. What I talked about earlier in the show, quick game, builds confidence. Quarterbacks like to throw. Handing the ball off is easy, but when you are confident in your throws and you're sure, you play much better as an offense. So right now, we're in 3x1. What we're going to get is, a lot of people call it bootleg. What it is, it's naked. And naked means you're play action from the running back, and you don't have anybody coming out here as a personal protector, okay? You want to sell zone, and you're going to get out the back door naked when you're the only one. And it's a two-way go. It's a two-way go, meaning that if the routes aren't there, then you run it, okay? And so what happens in this play is he gets pressure in his face, and actually it's a hell of a play by this defensive end right here, because he gets the right read, guy sucks in, but then he recovers, okay? Texas runs what will be a flood concept. Let's see what happens, and then we're going to talk about what he could have did. So we're in pistol, stay in the pistol. I'm glad. So you've got this receiver who was in motion. I mean, 3-1, he comes back in motion, but then he comes back across, and we're going to freeze it, right? So you've got a guy clearing out. This is your deep out. You've got a middle of the field, your intermediate route, and then you've got a flat route or your hot or something you can get rid of right now. Now, I think earlier or later in the year, if you will, he's going to learn to take what they give you. He's going to learn that you don't always need to make the big throw. Get it in the ball players' hands, let players make plays, because right now, yeah, he may see this guy here, but right now his eyes are already turned. So either you're going to go here right now, or I don't know, Eric. What do you think? What do you think?
Oh, I'm a big fan of, take what they give you. I do think you when you have this so much natural ability, you can make that throw, right? You line him up and make him throw that ball 100 times. He's completing it 92 of the 100 times. So you've got this large amount of confidence. But I do think, again, you talk about a lot of older players, both in college, but especially in the pro level, their development comes when they start to take the checkdowns, right? That is the mental, cerebral part of the game, if you will, is just knowing I'm going to take something that's going to move the ball forward and win the down.
Yeah, and a lot of times you got to just take what they give you, and that receiver, running back, or whoever ball carrier, got to just eat it. Is a 1 yard gain is a 1 yard gain. You got to get the ball out of your hand, and you got to get ahead and not get behind in the schedule. And I'm going to say,
as you trust yourself, you've got to trust your teammates, right? Because
exactly.
You trust yourself. I can make that throw. I've got to trust my teammate that he can go and make this guy miss.
Yeah, but to his credit, now the biggest thing a young quarterback doesn't want to do is turn the ball over. So if I'm on the other side looking at it, we're going to watch it one more time, and what you're going to see is this guy in a bail technique with his eyes on the quarterback, which in turn gets his eyes on the deeper out route. So the quarterback's saying, well, my clear out route hasn't even cleared him, but he's got eyes on the out route. And then this guy sitting here has got eyes on this flat route. So when people say, oh, Arch threw a bad ball, there were so many things to look at. And you see, look at the eyes. See right here? He's got his eyes on him. He's got his eyes on it. He turns his head at the last minute, but put pressures in his face, so yes.
I think we live in a world we've got to, and I've seen Texas fans evolve as the week has gone on into understanding that both things can be true.
Exactly. Right. And so, and before we get into it, what do we talk about? Keys to the game: run the ball, beat them up with quick game. I also later on talked about the tight end.
This doesn't. We'll get into later in the film, but this doesn't count as what we meant when we said quick.
Yes, we're just talking about what we thought was keys to victory, and just put the quarterback in good positions, which we talked about earlier. We talked about game plan or execution. So this next play right here, this is going to run what we call zone insert. Okay, and we're zoning to the left, and if Eric will allow me to get technical a little bit, we're zoning everybody to the left. So we're here comboing to this linebacker. When I say insert, this guy's going to come here and block the backside linebacker without getting too detailed, but it's zone insert, okay? And I think they get a 14-yard gain. Oh, no, I'm sorry, a 6-yard gain, but it's a positive play. If you average 4 yards a carry, you're doing all right. If you average 6 to 7, you should win the game.
So did he hit the right hole there?
Yeah, so let's look at it from the end zone. Run game start, but look at it from the end zone. So you see what should happen. You see what should happen here. Let's see if we'll get what we want. We're here. Probably comboing to the backer right here. They're full zoning, but they're going to not be in a hurry. And if I'm not mistaken, he might block out. But this guy right here is going to be for him. So we get what we want. They base it. Center goes right now. Center goes right now to the second level. That is the correct read. Somebody falls off the corner falls off on the inside. But as far as body on a body, that is a great, and you've got a running lane right there. You can't ask for much more. 4 yards, positive play. So now, first third down of the year, 3rd and 4. They're gonna go quick game, shotgun. We'll see. And I like this. I like the thought behind this. The thought behind this was something quick right now. Get the ball out of his hand. But what happens is, to Coach Patricia's credit, they scheme it up or they play it well. They're running this tight end right now across the field, okay? They're going to run him at like what we call tempo. When I say tempo route, he's just kind of coming off the field, not in a hurry, but reading. And he has an option route. What I mean by option route, he either goes inside or outside, depending on what the leverage of the defender is. We're clearing out here at the bottom. We have a crossing route late, a little deeper, which in turn tells me that he's the last option, because if the tight end is not open right now, then this tempo route is the next read. And right now, when this tight end goes right now, he creates space. He gets attention. He gets this backer to maybe drift on the inside, and now he isolates this guy. And now he can make a move and run his option route. Now, I'm going to play it, and then we'll talk about it. So hell of a job by this safety right here. That's what causes him to pause, causes Arch to pause. So people see this right here. No turnover. Now, this still could have been a positive play or a positive gain, and this tight end is somewhat new. When you get there, sit down. When you run plays and you read zone, you sit in the windows. You don't keep running. When it's man, you keep running, but you don't want to drift to the next defender. Now that muddies up the quarterback's read. Okay, so we talked about it. So tight end comes across right now, create space for this option route. Once again, tempos off the ball, boom. But this guy right here, this safety, does a hell of a job. Eric, you see what he sees. What do you think about that? 3rd and 4. What do you think about this?
So again, when you break down every play, you can see, where things were, what happened, what could have happened. Hindsight is 2020. Last guy I'm gonna armchair coach is a guy
100%.
coming off two
100%.
consecutive playoffs. I would like to see, and again, hindsight is 2020. You don't know how bad Arch is gonna play. You don't know how many simple reads or simple throws he's gonna miss throughout the course of this game. So you kind of call some things that have 4 different options. I would have liked to seen us simplify it a little more. I would have liked to seen us in maybe some RPO game, things that I know would go on to work later in the game. So I'm biased talking about it today on Thursday, right? But that's kind of what you like to see here if we don't have that next level that you need to execute this right now.
So now they go for it on 4th down. We're still in the first series, if you will. I just want to talk about putting ourselves or putting the horns in a good situation. So now, first set of downs, let's run the ball. All right, now, so 1st down. So Coach Sark switches up the personnel and goes to 12 personnel now. 1 back, 2 tight ends. Okay, 12 personnel. And what we get here, and I talked to Eric about it off camera, but one of my favorite schemes in the gap scheme is multiple ways to run gap schemes, counter, if you will. Right here, they're going to run what we call GY, which is the guard, G for guard pulling, and the Y or the H, depending on your terminology of the team you're on, because I said 12 personnel and I said 2 tight ends. So 1 tight end is labeled the Y. Traditionally, the 2nd tight end will be named the H. So it could either be guard and tight end, but we're not going to overcomplicate it. So tight end and the guard is pulling. You got to kick out by the guard. Boom. Turn up. Tight end gets on the linebacker. 14-yard gain. Let's look at the end zone. Motion here. We're back. Linebacker blitzes himself out of the play because this would be the guy that the tight end would turn up for, because guard's going to kick out first. That shows tight end is inside him. But what happens is this guy's going to come over. And that's sound. That's gap integrity. That's sound defensive football, because on offense, as a player, as a coach, you tell your players, or even as an experienced player, if somebody is leaving a gap, somebody's coming to that gap. Okay. So this guy blitzes, linebacker comes and replaces him in that gap to maintain integrity. But it works out for Texas because they've got to pull it for him. When you've got secondary players making tackles, that's a positive play. What do you like about that, E?
I like that. Again, we showed a level of physicality that will translate into SEC Saturdays.
Mm-hmm. So if you, against what you said was ranked #1 defense and who played a hell of a defensive game, you can get 14 yards. Run the ball. Run the damn ball. All right, so here we go. 3rd down. We got 3rd down. Okay, so the problem is, let me say something before I talk about this play. So the problem is, in the first half, if you will, you would agree that offensively, they didn't play very sound offensive football. And what I mean by that is always off schedule, always behind the sticks. Okay, so good buddy of mine that I worked with, he was the defensive coordinator. He would always tell me things to help me out as an offensive play caller, and he would say things like, if we win first down, best believe I'm blitzing on the next 2 downs because you're behind the sticks and you're off schedule. Okay, so Texas only had 3 series of offense in the first quarter. 2 of those series, they had at least 1 pre-snap penalty with false starts. Okay, so you're shooting yourself in the foot right there. Second quarter, they had 2 series, and they gave up a sack in 1 of those series. So that first half of football, before you can even get something going, you're already shooting yourself in the foot and getting off schedule and getting behind. So right now, third down, got a 3-by-1 set. Earlier, we're going to look at a play similar to what the very first play was when we got into this film. But now they're going to keep the tight end in to help with protection, okay? But they're still going to flood this side of the field. And let's take a look at it and let's see what decision he makes. Now, what I will tell you is, just like in the Kansas film, Sark always has a way out, a back door, if you will, an option, just to be simple. So pre-snap, we talk about, you'll hear things like gift without getting into the philosophy of it. Gift just means pre-snap read, you see something like, and you're taking it right there. It doesn't matter what the play is, you're taking that right there, okay? So this play right here actually has the ability, or gives Arch the ability post-snap to still look up here and see if the gift, if you will, is open, the easy throw, clean throw is there. If not, then it's almost a delay or somewhat half-roll boot action, and then he's got his flood. These routes are developing a little later, so the timing will work out as far as making a decision on the gift or the easy throw, and then he can come down here. Let's take a look at it. Got motion back in. Tight end stays in. He looks up top, doesn't like what he sees. I think, in my opinion, he could have still got it off. I don't know if this underneath player spooked him a little bit. And that's the read. If someone's underneath it, now we're here. So, in my opinion, later on the season, later on in his career, he's dropping this in the bucket right here. He's dropping in the bucket right here. Look at his eyes. He sees what he has, but I think you got to be able to make throws. Windows and opportunity in this league at this level don't get much better than this. Can't hold it too long. Got a guy chasing you. He's underneath your inside hip, so it's not that much of a threat, but he's fast. They're slow playing them eyes. But right now, you're a quarterback. Right now, if this guy's within 4 yards right here, you've got to throw him the grass. This guy's right here. I don't know if he spooked him, but he turned his hips. I don't know. It's the same look that he got in the first half when they flooded over here. We clear out, and you had 3 levels of throws. Ohio State did a hell of a job of covering it. So where he was highly criticized, some tough reads. Both times, if this guy's not here, then yeah, he's probably got time to throw it to him, or he makes a decision before, but he's got constant pressure, and that speeds up the throw. And I don't care who was open, who thought they were open. They don't see what this kid sees right here.
I also think, again, as he develops, the gift that's 5 yards.
Yes.
Right. Anytime somebody can give me 5 yards, I'm gonna take it. Right. And even if you're gonna take the check down or the running back out of the backfield, that cornerback has bad feet to cover that in the beginning. You allowed him to recover because you threw it so late and you didn't give the running back enough field to work with. But he's got bad feet for that to cover that. Right. So if he throws it now, he's got to turn, set his feet, adjust his body. And if I have a running back who was a 5-star player coming out of high school, one of the best backs in the country,
he's going to take advantage of it. You want that matchup. Exactly. I mean, I don't think he played terrible. I think he just saw a lot more advanced concepts that he had never seen before. And that's just,
And you don't simulate those in practice because, again, you don't know really what you're looking for. Texas just naturally going against a Texas defense. PK doesn't do a whole. He does some advanced and exotic things in his own right, but just not a lot of what we saw from Ohio State. Hard to say you underestimated the defending national champs, right? But I just don't think people gave them enough credit for what they had between their breastplate, right? Yeah. So I would have liked to just see.
And it's always an assumed letdown. It's hard to, the days of the Alabamas just repeating, are gone because of whatever factors, and I'm not even talking about the head coach, but like NIL, just realignment. Oh, yeah. But I mean, but there's life after, and, poll came out, Texas only dropped down to 7, so it's a long season,
which is way too far, by the way. No, I'm just saying, like, I'm a big logic guy. So Clemson, I think, went from 6 to 8, right? Or 4 to 8, right? Losing to the number. So they lost to the number 9 team in the country and dropped 4 spots. Texas lost to what was then considered the number 2 or number 3 team in the country and dropped 7 spots. The logic doesn't track it. So I'm excited. I think there's a lot to look at going forward. The world is not crumbling. I do not at all feel like we won't be in the college football playoff. But yeah.
Well, hopefully I'm there with you Saturday at the game. I got some other Kansas, Missouri obligations. That's paramount for me, not watching y'all go play.
MITCH.
You go play LBJ. But real quick, man, great show. Appreciate it. Before we get up out of here, we already know we're picking our teams to win. Obviously this is a big week in Lawrence, big rival, kind of reborn, reignited, and Texas plays on San Jose.
This is as good as both teams have been, Kansas and Missouri, equally, maybe in a little while. So
yeah, and Missouri's had 3 10-win seasons.
Yeah,
and playing in the SEC, that is nothing. That's not a slouch. So I'll give credit where credit is due. Any other game you looking at besides yours?
Give me the Iowa State game. I think I just talked a lot about them, but as you can tell, maybe even a little nervous about Florida. So I'll have my eye on Florida for the next 3 weeks, I'm sure. But I do think South Florida coming in, Todd Orlando's their defensive coordinator, former Texas defensive coordinator, so very familiar with him, very familiar with his style. And so I know some of the looks that DJ Lagway is going to get and the Florida team is going to get. So how dominant can they be? I will assume a win if I'm being fair, but how dominant can they be? And kind of what can they look like?
Yeah, I'm going to I actually got 2, Michigan, Oklahoma is the game, bigger matchup, but I mean, that's all potentials. We don't know how they'll look against each other, but they got an old Southwest Conference matchup, Baylor versus SMU, so I mean, that's always fun. That's I won't say a rival, but I mean,
I don't think it's gonna be too close, baby. Pony up,
man. Well, all right. Well, we're gonna get out of here, man. Great show, man. Had a lot to talk about, man. Thank you again, Mitch Morse, for coming on and entertaining us and, talking about the Kansas-Missouri rivalry. We'll be back next week, man. So as always, rock chalk.
Praise the Lord and hook 'em horns, baby.
You see how long it took him to say that? He already stopped believing. We'll see y'all next time.
Hey, see y'all from Texas.